Welcome to this Kane's Wrath match with flamedrem0n, possibly, not sure how to pronounce that, as the red Zocom on the left side of Tournament Rift, dropping down that power plant, and we have 02154, I do believe is his name. Yes, 02154 on the right side as the pink, just plain GDI this time around. We do have Pink getting out 3 early rifleman squads before, I'm assuming, 2 engineers, because as there is 4 Tiberium towers, usually each player captures 2, and it looks like, flamedrem0n going for 3 engineers, so that is an additional 500 credits, and gets out 3 rifleman squads. I'm assuming he's going to sell that barracks off at some point. You get an additional rifleman squad and those credits back. Just like that, and that way, you know, you've got an additional rifleman squad running around the map, so maybe you're able to take out your enemy's rifleman squad, or kill an engineer or something. Looks like, 02154's rifleman squad came out ahead in that engagement, was able to take down one of Flame's rifleman squad, also setting up a foxhole in the middle. Not a huge deal, but this is scouting information, this is early warning. This could be the difference between, you know, a harassment from flamedrem0n, or from flamedrem0n being a success and a failure, because if he sends, you know, pit bulls through here, or APCs with an engineer through here, 02154 is going to see it coming. Of course, you know, heads around up top, he's not going to see it coming, but I mean, that could be the difference. He can reroute forces, and we do have very classic 2 pit bulls, or in some cases, you know, you've got an attack bike and a pit bull, 2 of the, you know, classic harassment units passing each other just out of vision. But like I said, 02154, he knows it's coming, he knows it's on its way. So, unless he just was not paying attention at all, which is entirely possible, but we did have 3 engineers out of flamedrem0n, and only 1 Tiberium spike. 02154 was able to grab both of those, so he does technically have an econ lead, although it's not necessarily huge at this point. It could become a, you know, bigger econ lead. Not necessarily going to be doing a huge amount of damage to this war factory. Might want to go for the harvesters, as they're a little bit more susceptible to that pit bull damage. And it looks like 02154 did have... So flamedrem0n did manage to keep an engineer alive for a while. It did get taken out by that pit bull. Looks like the pit bull is heading back over to 02154's base. This engagement will most likely favor 02154, as his pit bull was at full health and flamedrem0n's wasn't, but it does look like flamedrem0n going to be expanding down to the bottom Tiberium field. Pretty standard there, it's close by. This middle one, you know, it's usually, well, not always, but it's fairly hotly contested, and it is also, if you're able to set up camp there and hold it, you have a huge advantage, because, you know, you can pump units right into your enemy's base, but your defenses are more spread out, so, you know, always things that you have to be keeping in mind. And not a whole lot else coming out of these players. Looks like we're at the pretty standard 5 harvesters. We do have the rocket harvesters for flamedrem0n, as he is Zocom, and it looks like a couple of APCs. No engineers and no missile squads for those APCs. And 02154 going to be expanding as well. Pretty standard there. 2 war factories. Not always something you see, but we do have 6 harvesters instead of just the more standard 5. Most players tend to stop at 5. But flamedrem0n also only got 2 refineries, which normally I see a lot of players, you get 3 and you sell 1 off. So you end up, and then you build 2 harvesters out of the war factory, and then you start producing, you know, usually pit bulls for that early spam, possibly predators. We do have 02154 taking down that civilian structure. flamedrem0n knows he's on the way, dropping down an airfield. Orca is going to be fairly good against this composition that 02154 has, although if he gets out pit bulls in a little bit heavier numbers, like say 6, and when you add in those APCs, he can easily lock down any sort of orcas, although the airfield could be used for kind of the later game Firehawks if we do go into the later game. And the Zone Shatterer, kind of the big brother to the regular just Shatterer. Very powerful, very potent unit. Looks like flamedrem0n trying a little bit of an APC attack. He does have that AP ammo, that armor-piercing ammo upgrade. Looks like the Predator pit bulls are going to catch up with them and most likely be able to take them out, as their, rockets do pretty good. The pit bull rockets do pretty good against APCs. Not seeing too much armor out of flamedrem0n to match the armor coming out of 02154. He does sell off 2 of those refineries, leaving him only with 1. I'm assuming he's going to be transferring a couple of harvesters down to the southern field, as this one is basically completely gone. It's all dried up. But we do have those 2 remaining APCs coming back, and we do have hammerheads, which, flamedrem0n, what you doing? I remember there was a Zocom build, I believe. Oh, it was very, very good. Well, don't want to overemphasize how good it was, but it was a pretty good build. Yeah, you got the Zone Raiders, and then, because I believe they also have some sort of rocket launcher pack. Yeah, shoulder launcher missile, so you could stick them in there, and then they had a ground attack, the additional ground attack from the zone troopers, whatever they're called, and then they also had anti-air capabilities. So it's all around just a great combination. We do have Predator tanks going to be destroying that APC, and the Shatterer better get out of there, because Shatterers are pretty good, but not against that many Predator tanks. So we do have 02154 moving in, going to easily be able to eliminate flamedrem0n's forces. flamedrem0n has a fair army composition, but when you have this many Predator tanks, you need something equally heavy-hitting. And you might want to get another refinery there, although it seems to be working out all right. Actually, I think it might be actually faster to send one of those all the way up here. But, yeah, that's all speculation. And that's what you need. Well, you don't need that. What you need is the Shatterers sitting there dealing damage while something else tanks the damage from the Predator tanks, such as APCs, although APCs aren't necessarily very good at tanking damage. So we do have 02154 moving in, going to be able to clean this up pretty easily, unless we see possibly some hammerheads. If those hammerheads get over there, they'll be able to clean up this Predator force no problem, as there is no anti-air out of 02154. Yeah, everything, Zone Shatter is going down, APC is going down, and this whole entire base could very easily go down. And we do have, what do we have? A little bit of a harassment with pit bulls, but those zone troopers, looks like he went for just missile squads inside of them, as they are much cheaper to get, as well as, not tier 3. But still very potent. Combination hammerheads with those missile squads. Fairly cheap combination, and they're also more powerful than orcas. I believe that they deal more damage, and then on top of that, you also have the anti-infantry capabilities, anti-air capabilities, and they don't have to return to base. But we do have Firehawks out of 02154. Looks like we have 3, which I believe you need 4 Firehawks, possibly 6, to take down an MCV. So that's something we're going to want to keep an eye on. And also the Firehawks' secondary ability, which if I could select one, I could find out what the name of it is, allows them to fly. The Stratofighter ability allows them to take off and then show up in another part of the map. Oh, Hammerhead's so good at taking down harvesters, but the Firehawk's secondary weapon ability, the missile loadout, you switch it over to the anti-air missiles. Very good when the Hammerheads clump up like you saw they were. And unfortunately for 02154, the Hammerheads, no, the Firehawks have a fairly small payout, and we do have the railgun weapons upgrade, which railgun Predators, much better than than just regular Predators, but yeah, $4,000 upgrade. So something that's definitely good to have, but sometimes you just can't afford to drop 4K. And I'm not sure if the MCV got taken down, because it looked like this one came out of the War Factory, so the original MCV may have gotten taken down. And we did have the Sonic Boom, whatever it's called, support power that takes out aircraft from 02154. He must have the Space Command uplink. And we do have the 4 Firehawks taken off. We will see where they go. They might use the Stratofighter ability and then show up. Where are they going to show up? Show up over here, going to be able to take down that War Factory. Yes, completely gone. But it looks like flamedrem0n going to be moving out to possibly this blue Tiberium field, which it starts out basically depleted, and then it slowly grows over the course of the game. And the blue Tiberium is, of course, worth more than just the regular green Tiberium. Although, I mean, with flamedrem0n moving down here, 02154, he has full reign to just expand up here. He's completely uncontested here, but flamedrem0n can make any sort of movement that he wants along this path and completely hit him from behind, so to speak, depending on if 02154 has scouted this down here. I know I did see a Juggernaut out of 02154. He does have 3 of them now, which that's a pretty good army composition. Might want to mix in a couple of pit bulls to help take care of those hammerheads. Or also, I do believe the Slingshot is the name of the dedicated anti-air vehicle for the GDI. Yes, the Slingshot. Might want to mix in a couple of those. Very good at running over infantry as well. I've lost a lot of infantry to Slingshots, but that's probably just because I'm bad at micro. We do have, yeah, these Juggernauts moving in. I'm not sure what the sight on them is, but if you get those sniper teams moving down, could be able to bombard this force from afar. Probably not going to happen. That's a pretty rare tactic to see. And we do have the armory going down, and it looks like he is getting, I'm not sure exactly which of the upgrades he's getting. He is getting the Tiberium Field Suits upgrade, which I'm guessing just makes him immune to Tiberium. Increases armor and HP, and then decreases damage from Tiberium for those of you that didn't read it. Most of you probably read it faster than me, but that's okay. We do have, he's pumping out more Juggernauts. I believe that brings the total up to 6 now, and those Juggernauts are able to bombard across the rift there in the middle, for which the map is named. It is able to take down a few riflemen, or missile squads, which, not a huge deal, but in this scenario, flamedrem0n really wants every unit he can have, because if you look at his army, we have Shatterers, which I believe are tier 2. You've got mostly a tier 1, tier 2 army versus you got tier 3 railgun predator tanks, Firehawks. Sheesh, this is a very hard-hitting army, and we also have, I'm not sure if that was worth it. I think 02154 just threw away 2 Firehawks, although he probably has the cash. Might want to sell that AA battery off, as it's not shooting anything right now. And it is important to note that I completely missed flamedrem0n selling off all of his base all over the place. He sold off his airfield, probably going to rebuild it, I would assume. Yes, right there. Looks like 02154 dropping the sonic emitter so good in these situations, as it can just take out massive amounts of infantry, as you just saw. So good, but you know, when you've got this many missile squads, they can take out even a sonic emitter pretty quickly. So he lost, you know, a third of his infantry right there in 3 shots. But we do have flamedrem0n cleaning up most of this, and yes, zone troopers as well. So a very heavy tier, and a commando, very, very heavy tier 3 army out of 02154. I don't know if flamedrem0n has anything to contest with this. I mean, he might just be trying to force a base race situation. That might be his only hope. And I don't even know if that's going to work, because 02154 has quite a bit more money, and he also has quite a few more units. So, don't want to call this early, but it looks like 02154 has an advantage, although I could be missing something. We do have just a single rifleman squad, probably not going to be doing too much. And more hammerheads. That is 5 hammerheads, I do believe. Possibly 6. Looks like they're stacked up a little bit. But that AA battery going to be able to clean them out if they stick around too close. Looks like they're trying to go for the harass. Not doing too much. 02154 going to be using his Firehawks to try and deter those hammerheads. But the hammerheads, they're going to be able to take down that airfield. It takes so much damage with that AP armor upgrade, or AP ammo upgrade, that the Zocom units have, or that the GDI has, and that Zocom has the hardpoints ceramic armor upgrade as well, which makes those aircraft, gives them extra armor. And now looks like we're going to be facing a sort of base race situation. And considering that, I mean, 02154 has the superior armor, he doesn't really have too much in the way of anti-air, so he could be falling to just a couple of hammerheads. And by a couple, I do mean like 15 hammerheads, because that is all flamedrem0n is producing out of 2 airfields. Flamedrem0n may actually be able to come back out of this, because there's nothing to contest these. He's out of power, and he doesn't have a whole lot of money left. Well, I don't know if he has a whole lot of money left, but he can't produce units fast enough. He has 2 grand left, but he can't produce units fast enough because all of his production facilities are getting taken down, and there goes his MCV, which means he has no build queue, and he has to build another MCV if he wants to build any more units. Or I should say structures, because he's all out of power. So, I would say 02154 had an advantage, but flamedrem0n seems to be bringing it back, seems to be taking it back with his force of hammerheads, which this just goes to show you force composition and a little bit of scouting is a huge deal, especially, you know, when you go into the late game like this and you got basically an army that's only good against ground, and then your enemy just spams some some air units that are basically anti-ground because he didn't have any missile squadrons in them, and he was able to win the game. He was able to come back kind of against the odds, kind of against the ropes for most of that game. flamedrem0n was. He was, for the most part, he was outplayed by 02154. Don't want to say that too much, as, you know, both players did very well, and obviously flamedrem0n came out ahead. flamedrem0n. So very exciting game. As you can see, the unit kill to death ratio heavily favoring 02154. I mean, almost 2.0 versus almost 0.5. That's a huge difference. You don't normally see someone who's that far ahead in killing units lose a game like that. But flamedrem0n able to pull out the win in 02154, able to stay ahead most of the game in those resources, which he had the superior tech, the superior army, and that's why you got the money. Pretty basic stuff there. And he did, you know, when flamedrem0n took down all those harvesters, flamedrem0n, good control on those hammerheads, was able to, you know, keep them around. He did have to, he did take a bit of damage from anti-aircraft batteries that wasn't necessarily, you know, he didn't have to. He was a little careless in some of them, but nobody's perfect. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I enjoyed this game. This game was freaking awesome. So, good job to flamedrem0n. I hope to see more from him in the future, and 02154, because I feel like 02154 played more of a standard game, very strong game, though. So, we will see what happens in the future. This is not a series, even though I kind of set it up like it was. This is Sybert, signing out.